Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 6th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We had a good Wednesday. We hummed. We didn't get hummed, so I like that. Let's see. Overall, it was a busy day at work. We got in there. I got in there a little bit late. I will say though, I did have a good coffee session at the top of the day. So I got in a little bit late at work for that. But I mean, it was worth it. Also, I kind of realized too, ever since I've really tightened the reins on like calling out, like doing my, PTO, having a little me day. Unfortunately, I've noticed that I take more late days now. Like I'm just coming in like anywhere from like 5 to 20 minutes later, which luckily with my, my situation at my job, it's fine. It does hurt me though on the back end when I do reviews because I know my supervisor is going to sit down with me. Even though my supervisor likes me, like they're going to have to ding me for attendance, and I get it, but it's like, I'm throwing it away because I think for about 1 or 2 years I've had like pretty good attendance. I've been actually a lot better than when I first got into the company. But I've just noticed that's kind of a trend for me where it's like if I don't have my little day off, then I will take it in little time increments, which is not good because I'm only hurting myself. Anyway, though, back to the day. I had a really good coffee session. It was nice. I tried this new coffee that I got. I cannot remember the name of the brand. Maybe next time I make some coffee, I'll try to remember and report back. But it was like this coconut flavor coffee. It was very yummy. I enjoyed it. But yeah, that was the reason I started off late. But overall, I come in, it wasn't looking too bad, which I was happy to see. Though I will say the day got thick. Like the day was busy. I didn't wind up really feeling overwhelmed, but at the same time, it was pretty steady. Also, I've been hearing too that like our numbers are high. Like apparently last year as well, our numbers were high. Like which means that's a good thing. Business is booming. But I was like, oh, okay, so we're expecting to be like kind of a heavier flow week. I wasn't really expecting that, but okay, that's fine. Because usually our peak isn't until, oh gosh, at least a couple more months from now. So also it's crazy that summer's kind of moving so fast. But that's a story for another time, or conversation for another time. Let's see. Food corner. It's been a while, I feel like, since we had food corner that wasn't like on a Friday or something, it wasn't like a snacky poo. We had a good food corner, though. I will say this one kind of fucked with my mental, which is, it's weird. It's annoying, but I mean, I gotta talk about what's going on in my brain right now, mind and see shit. But no, food corner was good. It was classic. It was classic-ish. Let me say that. We finally got our chicken tendies and fries. And god damn it, it's about fucking time, right? Like we've been waiting, usually we get chicken tendies and fries like 1 or 2 times. We have a funnel cake by now. Where's the funnel cake? Release the funnel cake. Where's it at? It's not at our job. They're not giving us the good treats anymore. They're saying, hey, here's some ice cream, here's some popcorn, just fucking fuck off. But needless to say, the reason why I'm not as stoked about this one was because they gave us the ticket system again. So essentially you only got one bite at the apple, you only got one bite at the chicken tender, so to speak. And not to mention, there's only 2 chicken tenders, just 2, and some fries. What the fuck? Like, like me and one of my homies, my coworkers, we were a little bit up in arms about that. The fatties were mad. Okay, all right, I'll say it. I was mad. I'm big mad. No, but needless to say, I was happy to get it. Now here's where it gets a little like, oh, this is where it becomes an Isaiah problem because of this. And maybe this is just a stupid excuse, this is just a moment for me to like free the demon, free my fatty, let my fatty flag fly, so to speak. I was like, this isn't enough food. It's just not enough food. If this is my cheat meal for the day, I gotta make it something. I gotta make it good, right? So I proceed to hit the vending machine like situation cafe. I guess I should call it a cafe, huh? That is not a cafe. It is just a big vending machine. But anyway, we or vending machine area, I really should call it. I got me a little, cold hamburger, right? And I'm like, we're gonna make this cheeseburger combination, and with these chicken tendies and fries, and I'm gonna be satisfied with that. That's what I want. And I knew that the sandwich wasn't gonna be good. I knew the burger wasn't gonna be good. I had this before. I've done this before in terms of eating that, but I was like, I want it, and I just shut everything off, and I just got it, and of course, I overcooked that motherfucker for like 30 seconds too long and burning my fucking mouth. I covered it though in like ketchup, mayo, mustard, the usual accoutrement. And also, I got lucky and there was like some Parmesan cheese, like a cheese packet. And I was like, ooh, give me that. And I cover the whole situation. I get the fries, I get the chicken, I get the burger with this Parmesan cheese. It was good in that regard, right? It was good. But then I feel like after I eat it, I just feel bad. I feel guilty. I feel gross. Like that wasn't worth it. And I think, and this is a key thing for me, I've noticed that like if I do a cheat meal and the cheat meal is so fucking yummy, it's so fucking good, it was so fucking on or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like the shit I do on the weekends when I'm so bomb out and I'm just like, this is giving me what I need. I'm gonna eat this and I'm gonna get off the floor now. That's okay. I can take that. But if it's a shitty meal that really didn't do anything for me, it's just gonna hurt my stomach. It's gonna make me feel gross. Like, then I feel really bad about it. And that's what this meal was because of the cheeseburger. If I just had the little chicken tendies and fries, sure, I would be a little grumpy. I'd be a little hungry. But that's something a snack couldn't fix. And I know that, like, I'd be pretty good on my my macros or whatever for the day. And I'd feel really happy about that. So I was really upset for a couple hours. I was glad I had a friend, kind of talk me down like, hey, you're good. It's all right. Everything's gonna be fine. And I'm like, it's so annoying that I still need that and I still want that conversation sometimes. I need to like vent my food frustrations. But I mean, that's being human, right? And, that person was right. And I'm overall good. I'm happy that like, by the time I did, get on the scale, my usual weigh in, I'm like, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? I'm still, I'm still in the 190s, baby. It's not that crazy. And we'll dust ourselves off and try again for tomorrow. And hopefully we finish, pretty good for the rest of the week. So yeah, overall though, I was happy to eat. It's always nice to kind of have that, that little treat. Post the jobby, we went to the real work, the gym. We went to the gym, and gym was good. I figured I'm gonna take it out on myself a little bit here, be a little masochistic, and we hit heavier sets on the weight training, and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna stay on the Stairmaster for an hour. For an hour, my dear listeners. It was not fun. I normally, the way I've explained this before, the way I like to do my hour of cardio is 15 4 times. You do an hour of, you do a 15-minute of Stairmaster, you do a 15-minute treadmill, you do a 15-minute of elliptical, 15-minute of bike. That makes it so it's like you're doing little stations, and like before you get too bored or too like physically fatigued, you just move to the next thing, and that's nice. But once I saw that number the other day that I got an extra like plus 100 calories burned just doing the Stairmaster, I was like, I wasn't even like hitting that hard. Imagine if I hit it hard for like an hour. Ooh. And so I tried it. I'm not gonna say it was a mistake. I'm just gonna say I didn't like it. I was miserable. Like by 30 minutes in, I just didn't really want to do it anymore. And like the whole verve that I had about this of like I'm gonna hit it at my usual pace, it faded. I'm like, I'm gonna do just a medium pace like I was the other day, and maybe I'll crank it up every once in a while because I just don't have the mental. The mental stamina. I don't have it. I'm sure I could do it, but I don't want to. I just didn't. And I'm like, I'm going to see the number and be happy with it. And overall, I did burn more calories than I would have, so I was happy. But it's just like, tomorrow I'm going back to normal. I'm going back to my 4 set on that, on the cardio, baby. So, yeah, overall, though, We ran ourselves down. Also, I know I'm talking a bit long. You know, it's a long personal news day. But I have a little bit of announcement, a little bit of spree spoiler. But mainly I'm it was a part of my day, so we just explain it here. I'm gonna be dog sitting next week. So I was waiting to see if the details were gonna get ironed out and everything. I'm acting like this is like something like it's content I'm dropping, but this is important. I'm carrying on the mantle of someone else's pets and plants, y'all. I'm scared. I'm scared, but I'm getting prepared. I'm mentally preparing, and I met because this is a coworker who's asked me to do this, and I was like, all right, I think I can do this, and he's like, all right, come through. I'm going to give you the layout. I'm going to have you meet the pets so that way you know what they're like and they know you. At least they've seen you once. And, we're going to go through a quick rundown. I'm like, all right, cool. That sounds perfect. And that's what we did tonight. And pets are great. They're cute. We'll see. The cats are cats. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? We love a cat. We love all kitties. Kitty purr. But, we just got to make sure that they're all fed and that they get out, 3 times a day. That's essentially the general rundown here. With the plants, I think honestly I'm more concerned about the plants because I have no green thumb. I've killed a cactus before. It seems pretty simple, a 1-day situation, nothing crazy. You spritz. Okie dokie. But I'll keep you posted. That's not until, like I said, next week. So, we'll have a new thing to talk about. Hopefully nothing wild. Hopefully everything is going to be fine. But I am excited. And once I met the dog specifically, because I feel like that's like the main thing. I got to make sure they get out, get the little poo-poo pee-pee feed, they're adorable. They're nice big old dogs. So I'm like, all right. And it's a contained situation. I don't have to walk them. I just have to let them out. Like that's great. This seems like a very easy mode Isaiah dog sitting situation. So I was like, all right, let's try this out. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. And I got some free tomatoes. So I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much for these tomatoes. Y'all know I will eat some tomatoes. So that'll be good. Also, I didn't mention this either. In the spirit of food corner, and we haven't talked about the food I eat for dinner. Last night I did get a little decadent. I made a chicken and pasta bowl. With like pesto and some marinara. It was good. It was very yummy. But also that was another thing that added to my woes because I'm like, damn, I should not have had that pesto. That was a mistake. That's gonna make me extra fat. But, like I said, still we rise. Anywho, I think we've yapped about pretty much everything I wanted to yap about. I am so sorry that we've gone so long. And I know that this episode might be a little bit long too. So, go ahead. Maybe, get your little snacky. Get your little accoutrement for our startup. Get ready. Let's hit this launch pad. Let's fucking gear up. And let's get into some, heavy shit. Spoiler alert, it's gonna get rough. Let's do our startup and let's get into some news. Oh, I'm so happy it is not as hot. Oh, this is already some pre-side news. I should be talking to y'all about Canadian wildfires and stuff, and we're getting the haze again. But it's not even major news. It's not as bad as it was in 2023. This is just the way it works, baby. This is just the facts of life now. We just got to deal with that haze. Canadian haze all in my eyes. I'm sorry, that was bad. That was not good. That was not good broadcasting. That was not good podcasting. It is crazy how much I want a big juicy burger all the time. Isn't that insane? Human beings shouldn't crave cheeseburgers like that, right? But I do. One day I'll be reunited with my true love. One day. Anyway, let's get into some news. I'm sorry. I'm goofing around today. I'm just in a goofy mood. Sorry for being silly. Jeez. Anyway, from the Associated Press, Army. I'm saying all this goofy ass shit, and this is about to be fucked. Army sergeant shot 5 soldiers before he was tackled and arrested at Fort Stewart. Officials say. A sergeant shot 5 soldiers Wednesday at one of the country's largest army bases before he was quickly tackled by other Fort Stewart troops, forcing a brief lockdown, officials said. Few details were immediately available about what led to the gunfire, but officials said the shooter was Sergeant Cornelius Radford, 28, who used a personal handgun, not a military firearm. Radford opened fire where he worked, but officials wouldn't speculate about a motive, authorities said, which I think we're going to kind of get to where my speculation hat's going to come on, and then I say maybe this is why, but I don't know. The injured soldiers are stable and expected to recover, said Brigadier General John Lubis. The soldiers who tackled Radford helped ensure his arrest, said Lubis, who commands the 3rd Infantry Division. They do cover a slew of some other ones, a few other ones. They're mentioning this here, but we're not probably going to cover those. But let's see. Army records released to the Associated Press show that Radford enlisted in January of 2018. He worked as a supply sergeant and has not been deployed. Radford faced an August 20th hearing in Hinesville, a small town near the base, on accusations of driving under the influence and running a red light just after 1 a.m. on May 18th, according to a citation in court filing. He was given a blood test and freed on a $1,818 bond, the document said. Now, that would be my speculation as to, like, what sparked this break. I mean, shit, y'all see me do a spiral over a fucking, $1.15, $1.25 ticket, you know what I mean? Like, hell, a whole couple bandos, pretty much. I mean, I get a spiral, but that doesn't mean load up on guns and fucking suit your shoulder, homies. I don't know. That's not the move, brother. So I don't know if this is the motive. I don't know. I mean, we'll see if there's more, that comes down the pipe here. Let's see here. Is there anything else? There was a lockdown, but that has been lifted. Trump called this guy a horrible person. He's a horrible person. Oh my God. My Trump impression is terrible. I really don't want to keep doing that shit. Also, am I really going to do a Trump impression for 4 years straight? I mean, I might, but hopefully in doses. I'm sure that's what you all are thinking. Like I said, they do a rundown. There was an incident in 2013, one in 2014, and one in 2019. We have some more unfortunate stories and things to cover, so I'm going to make that brief, and we're not going to get into that. But I am glad that no one was killed here. That's the silver lining. Unfortunate that this was like a scary happening, but I was like chilling in the break room, and I saw this story. I popped off, and I'm like, well, I know I'm going to talk about this at some point tonight, so here we are. The next story was a story I hadn't quite gotten to, and we're getting to now, from CBS News. Dismembered bodies of 32 people found in abandoned home in Mexico. We hope to find our loved ones. Dismembered human remains found last week in an abandoned house in Mexico's violence-racked Guanajuato state belong to a total of 32 victims, prosecutors said Monday. State prosecutors said 15 people have been positively identified so far from the remains, which were discovered during a search for missing people in the city of Urupato. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. I'm sorry. The remains were in fragmented and complex condition, it said, adding that this had complicated the identification process. Fragmented and complex seems so bad in this kind of situation where you have like an abandoned house and we've said the number of 32. Like what does that mean? And it's not good. But relatives of missing persons who belong to a collective called Hasta Encontrate Until I Find You visited the site Monday, hoping for news of their loved ones or fresh evidence. I have heard of groups, organizations like this. it is so, I can't imagine. I mean, obviously you want to find this person, your person, like more than anything. And you are committed to this process, this organization where you're just going to immerse yourself in so many missing people, so many dead bodies to try to connect those, and then you're ultimately hoping to find your person along the way. But at this point, it's just like you just realize like this is a work that like someone's got to do. People have to do because like these people matter. My person matters, and like I'm gonna devote my life to finding that person. So it's sad that like even once again now like these civilized time we still have to do that and have these kind of groups, and that's a thing. We hope to find our loved ones. A woman who requested anonymity for safety reasons told AFP. It's been many years and we still know nothing. When these mass graves are found, we want to be present. And they say the term mass graves, and like they say organized crime groups frequently bury their victims in clandestine graves. The Mexican government's current tally of disappeared people is nearly 132,000. And like you just think that it's like, damn, it's like these become like these makeshift mausoleums, these mass graves. I want to add like more to them, and not just say that they're mass graves, but it's just like it's just so sad. Like that's not where you want to end up. And I mean, of course, you could just be like, well, it's just a body. This is like no. The most people they have a tie to a body, no matter what. Well, it doesn't matter whether this is present or post this person's life. It matters, and you never want to see your person like that. You never want to find your person in that way. So, oof, like that sucks. Much of the violence in Guanajuato is, I'm sure I'm fucking that up, is linked to conflict between the Santa Rosa de Lima gang and the Jalisco New Generation cartel, one of the most powerful in the Latin American nation. The JNGC is one of several that has been designated as a foreign terrorist organization by the Trump administration. Guanajuato recorded more than 3,100 murders last year, the most of any Mexican state, accounting for 10.5% of cases nationwide, according to official figures. It also had about 3,600 missing person cases out of more than 120,000 courts countrywide. So yeah, heavy shit kind of starting off here, and obviously condolences, but we're moving on to our Epstein summer. Like we can't escape. We cannot escape. Jeffrey Epstein looms large over the government, over this administration, over so much fucking shit, man. So here we are. We're about to start talking about him again. CBS News. House panel subpoenas Clintons and other ex-officials in Epstein probe. Seeks files from DOJ, or Department of Justice. The House Oversight Committee issued subpoenas Tuesday to a slew of former attorney generals and FBI directors, as well as former President Bill Clinton, for testimony about the case involving convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The subpoena seeking depositions, that's the word I'm looking for, from the former Justice Department officials were issued after Republicans and Democrats on a House Oversight Committee approved measures to authorize the demands last month as part of efforts by Congress to obtain more information about Epstein. House investigators also issued a subpoena to Attorney General Pam Bondi for documents related to the Justice Department's investigation into Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, his associate, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence. The department confirmed it received the subpoena, but did not comment further. The committee is seeking testimony from Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, as well as from officials spanning the past four presidential administrations. Former Attorneys General Merrick Garland, Bill Barr, Alberto Gonzales, Jeff Sessions, Loretta Lynch, and Eric Holder, and former FBI directors James Comey and Robert Mueller. Sessions and Barr led the Justice Department during President Trump's first term. Lawmakers are seeking information from the Clintons because the former president's past ties to Epstein and Maxwell in the early 2000s. Letters to the officials from Kentucky Representative James Comer, a Republican who leads the Oversight Committee, are all similar. The records from the Justice Department must be overturned by August 19th, according to the Oversight Committee, and dispositions are scheduled for throughout August, September, and October. While the department undertakes efforts to uncover and publicly disclose additional information related to Mr. Epstein and Mrs. Maxwell's cases, it is imperative that Congress conduct oversight of federal government's enforcement of sex trafficking laws generally and specifically its handling of the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell, Comer wrote, adding that the oversight panel may use results of this investigation to inform legislative solutions to improve federal efforts to combat sex trafficking and reform the use of non-prosecution agreements and or plea agreements in sex crime investigations. All right, now we're going to get into a bit of the Clinton involvement here. A spokesperson for Clinton said in 2019, after Epstein was indicted on federal charges, that the former president took 4 trips on Epstein's plane in 2002 and 2003, traveling to Europe, Asia, and Africa. Angel Urena, the spokesperson, said the trips included stops in connection with the Clinton Foundation and staff, foundation supporters, and Clinton's Secret Service detail were on every leg of every trip. Clinton also had a meeting with Epstein in 2002 and made one brief visit to Epstein's apartment with a staff member and his security detail, Urena said. Now, he says all this to say President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to in Florida some years ago, or those with which he has been recently charged in New York, he said, adding that Clinton hadn't spoken to Epstein in more than a decade and had never been to his island, New Mexico ranch, or Florida residence. He didn't go to those places, just those other places they all got to hang out. But don't worry about it. He doesn't fuck with him like that. And this is so similar to the fucking Donald Trump thing, where it's so fucking annoying that they just all have the same playbook when it comes to Epstein getting mentioned. Now, I'm kind of saving a little bit here because there's a bit of a part 2. I kind of want to stay on point, and then we'll talk about some of the other reason why I wound up talking about Epstein today. But former presidents have not successfully been compelled to testify before Congress, but several have voluntarily answered questions from committees, including Presidents Gerald Ford in 1983, Harry Truman in 1955, and William Howard Taft on numerous occasions, according to the Senate. Talk a bit about Epstein's history. Now, those numbers, those years that Urena mentioned are relevant in the sense of, and why he was saying this in defense of Bill Clinton, was because all of those years were before 2008, where the state prostitution charges hit, where I think that was the first public, this guy is bad news. He's a pedophile. He's a sex offender. You should not be fucking hanging out with him. But obviously that can't have been the first fucking time that this has all been fucking, this is an oops-a-daisy thing. No, clearly the evidence was out there. This was known fucking shit. And people were partying with him, hanging out with him, fucking writing little sweet nothings in his birthday fucking book. But needless to say, let's continue. But Congress has renewed its focus on Epstein after the Justice Department and the FBI released a memo. We've obviously talked about this, where essentially they're like, nah, there's nothing wrong. You know what I mean? He didn't blackmail anybody. We've got all the information, actually. It's all good. And everyone fucking flipped their shit. So that really escalated fucking things. Let's see here. I know that the Trump administration would now like to release the interview that they had with Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is like, I don't fucking like that. I'm not okay with that. Also, she's not okay with the grand jury shit being leaked, or not leaked, but like revealed or whatever. She has problems with both of these things. Also, it's worth noting too that she said that Donald Trump did not do anything criminally untoward. That was a point of mention from I think I believe the Trump administration, but they're saying that's part of the reason why they want to release the interviews, like to be transparent and also show that Donald Trump is not involved at all. Really, no, he's all good. And it's like, he's fucking there, dude. He's fucking hanging out with this dude. He's tip to tip with this dude, allegedly, speculatively. I don't know, throwing out words here, but that leads me to my part two, because I kind of just want to crash into that. The New York Times, or the New York Crimes, depending on who you fucking ask. If you ask me, it's the Crimes, baby. No. They released a article, and this article is this big like tell all about the house, like where Jeffrey Epstein lived, where he threw his like lavish weird parties, where all his celebrity cool friends, political cool friends would come through and hang out and once again say sweet nothings to him or write in his little birthday book and say all these little weird things. So I kind of wanted to give a quick rundown. This is a weird time where I'm going to source X, the Everything app. Also, y'all know I mentioned Touring on Pod. They posted a thread and read a new New York Times article with showing a camera in Epstein's bedroom, and shows some of the pictures, shows some of the and it just mentions things about from the NYT article. It's worth mentioning that this is a paywalled article. I was only able to look at it for like a few paragraphs, and then I was like, shit. But I was able to find a screenshot of it that I'm not really going to read too much from, but that's in the thread. Anyway, there was mounted like cameras, like hidden cameras. Like there's some that people knew about, and there's some that, victims would come out and say, hey, we know good well that there was hidden cameras in this room, in that room. It doesn't matter whether you can see them via the pictures or not. They were there. But this is what really fucking got me, dude, was all the pictures of all the people who like hung out with him. Like Steve Bannon hung out with him. Donald Trump hung out with him. God, this gets so deep, y'all. Let's see. We got Bill Gates, Woody Allen, which that's not surprising. That guy's a fucking freak. Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro partied with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not memeing you. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Up until today, I would have been like, you're making that shit up. What are you talking about? I've not heard that. I would have like booed at you. But I'm looking at the fucking picture. No, I don't think it's AI. And yes, in the thumbnail, the picture with fucking Jeffrey Epstein with the fucking shit on, I had to have that. I had to have that for the thumbnail. I'm sorry. Yes, that's real. That is him with his fucking homies. He just got that shit on. He's a cultural man, I guess. Oh, it's crazy. You got a picture of him and Bill Clinton looking at each other all starry-eyed. You got Noam Chomsky in a fucking photo. I mean, there's so many motherfuckers. Let's see here. I kind of want to crash the article. There was a former prime minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, and I feel like that's a relevant line because, in terms of you're going down the conspiracy spiral, one of the things that is, thought is that there's just no doubt that Jeffrey Epstein at some point, in some way, some capacity, was an Israeli spy. Like, doing some kind of espionage shit. And maybe not just for Israel, maybe for America. Who fucking knows? That also leads to so many other things. That's obviously speculative, I have to say that. But it's in the well of conspiracy. And I mean, when we get to this part of it, this is where I kind of get like, I lock back in, because I'm like, it's crazy that you would get this chummy with a guy like that, and then think like, yeah, no, it's all good. This is all good. Like, either you're participating in this shit or you're okay with this shit. There's just no way you don't know. And I think that is a general consensus for everyone who kind of looks at these stories, who like really dives into this wormhole, because you're like, ew, pedophilia is fucking gross. This is nasty. Like, why aren't people doing anything about this? Why was this guy allowed to get like such a sweetheart deal in 2008? Like he gets muddled. It's frustrating. It gets muddled down to like a prostitution thing, and he literally gets to like walk around like he's American Pablo Escobar. Why? Like, you want to have answers for that fucking shit. I fucking get it. I understand. Anyway, I'm getting so fucking twerked up about this. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting to, but this shit was really like, what the fuck? This one got me. So yeah, we're learning shit every day. It seems. Like I said, this is really, sadly, truly, is an Epstein summer. So. We'll see what shakes out next. We'll see how these subpoenas go. I initially didn't really want to talk about it until I saw, like, once again, the New York Times stuff. Only because with the subpoena stuff, we don't know how it's going to shake out. Who's going to actually, like who's showing up? How's that going to work out, right? But if and when that happens, we'll be back. And if and when we get any new updates, we will be back. All right, let's move on. I know I kind of got a little worked up there. I need a water break. I need some water. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. We are keeping it in government, though. All right. From the Associated Press, RFK Jr. pulls $500 million in funding for vaccine development. The Department of Health and Human Services will cancel contracts and pull funding for some vaccines that are being developed to fight respiratory viruses like COVID-19 and the flu. RFK Jr. announced in a statement Tuesday that 22 projects totaling $500 million to develop vaccines using mRNA technology will be halted. Kennedy's decision to terminate the projects is the latest in a string of decisions that have put the longtime vaccine critics' doubts about the shots in full effect at the nation's health department. Kennedy has pulled back recommendations around COVID-19 shots, fired the panel that makes vaccine recommendations, and refused to offer a rigorous endorsement of vaccinations as a measles outbreak worsened. And it's worth noting that he's like throughout this whole thing, he's not saying that like, oh, I think they're bad, but he is saying that I want to choke them out, essentially. I want to stymie this shit. I don't want it to be the main way that we deal with this shit in the future. Towards the end of the article, he mentions he wants a universal vaccine of some sort, and he believes in that more, like, moving towards the future, more or less. And it's like, brother, more or less, so many scientists, doctors, whatever the fuck, they're saying that's dumb. This is the dumbest shit that we have seen in so long. Like, mRNA technology is allowing us to cure things we didn't think we would ever cure. Like, it's shortening that time. And if we can do more research, we can do more with this technology, with this science. And not to mention, in terms of just with COVID, it's not over. And I think that this is something that's going to fall on like so many deaf ears. And I do get it. I do understand. COVID fatigue is just something that it's in you, whether or not you were pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, you're burnt out on having the conversation. I get it. I podcasted through that fucking shit. It wasn't fun. It's not fun to talk about even today. But that being said, it's still an issue today. I was literally seeing a headline about a new strain. I think it's called Stratus or whatever the fuck. Remember those? Remember COVID strains? They're still a thing, like weed. They still just keep coming out. But we have now, Human Health and Services or whatever. We have RFK Jr. saying, nah, that shit is not that important. Let's go back to another method, a method that I think is safer, more tried and true, and we'll go at it from there. And what are we going to do if there is a new pandemic and you could have had mRNA technology involved to actually like make a new vaccine, make something really quick and efficient? Well, now we're not going to have that, and we're going to have to redouble our efforts another fucking way, or do that and then come back to it, and it's going to be even slower, this is not a win. This is not a W for anybody, I know maybe anti-vaxxers are like, oh yeah, this is great. Because that's the thing. He's so vague about this. You really don't know what he really means by that. At least my dumbass doesn't. But I mean, shit. Time's going to tell, I guess. Let's see here. Was there anything else I really wanted to pull? No, I think we're good. Oh no, I guess I'll read the thing because I keep talking about this universal vaccine. I'll read the quote. Let me be absolutely clear. HHS supports safe, effective vaccines for every American who wants them, Kennedy said in a statement. Speaking hours later, Tuesday, at a news conference in Anchorage, Alaska, alongside the state's two Republican U.S. senators, Kennedy said work is underway on an alternative. He said a universal vaccine that mimics natural immunity is the administration's focus. It could be effective. We believe it's going to be effective against not only coronavirus, but also flu, he said. That sounds so wooey to me, and maybe not when you can maybe break down a science from a real scientist. I don't want to see one of his little nut jobs. But most likely, I guarantee you, even that scientist is going to be like, yeah, you should still, though, maybe, go with the tried and true thing, like what we've done with COVID-19. That's a thing that we know we can rely on. It's actually gotten us through a pandemic. So, What? But hey, I'm no goddamn scientist. Obviously, I got to fucking say that shit. But I'm just a guy who remembers that this dude put a fucking dead whale in his car and then drove that shit home. And now he's running the department. So that's fucking lit. Let's fucking go. Anyway, we have one more thing that I wanted to cover before we leave. And it's a scam, baby. It's a crypto scam. So yeah, we're going to close out with that. I'm not going to say that's good news. It's terrible. It sucks that someone lost $1 million. But yeah, I mean, such is life. Say la vie. Anyway, let's do our last break and we'll close it out. Whew. Let me clear my throat. All right. Our last story comes from MoneyWise. It felt like I was in a movie. North Korean agents infiltrated this Atlanta man's business, gaining his trust as super duper talented remote workers, then stole $1 million in crypto. Okay, I kind of don't like how they're playing my man here. Look, he said that is his quote, super duper talented, but like, come on, man. Like, I feel like we're focusing on that a little too much. I ain't gonna clown. Anyway, it sounds like the plot of an action thriller, but for one Atlanta tech entrepreneur, an elaborate cryptocurrency theft involving North Korean assets became his reality. It felt like I was in a movie, Marlon Williams told Channel 2 News. That's where we see these things, right? Rather than a phishing scam, with criminals pretending to be a bank or government agency and requiring payment in a cryptocurrency to solve an urgent issue, this was a long con orchestrated over 2 years. Okay, I hate to tell Williams, but this is less of a movie and more of a podcast thing. Because I've heard this story multiple times in multiple ways via like The Journal or something like that, or I don't know, maybe like a Darknet Diaries or something to that effect. I don't think Tom Cruise is really gonna hit this one, but that being said, I'd watch that movie. So I'll give Williams that. Anyway, Williams thought I'm talking shit. Williams thought he had hired remote IT workers for his Atlanta-based blockchain research and development company, Starter Labs. Instead, the workers were North Korean nationals using stolen identities, according to the FBI. After gaining his trust, they were able to infiltrate the business, eventually making off with just over $1 million in cryptocurrency. Four men, Kim Kwang-jin, Kang Tae-bok, John Pong-ju, and Chang Nam II? Or no, I'm sorry. Chang Nam-il. I think it's Chang Jong-il. Chang Na-il. Ooh, I'm illing right now. Have been indicted on charges of wire fraud and money laundering, according to a now unsealed federal criminal indictment. This is part of a larger investigation by the FBI and U.S. Department of Justice, or the DOJ, into North Korea's so-called remote IT worker program in which skilled North Korean agents infiltrate American companies using a mix of stolen and fake identities. The first time I've heard about this in terms of like interview situations where you have a person who has stolen identity, they get it on an interview, and it's like a Skype call in like a dark room, at least from that person's perspective, and they run through the interview a-okay. Maybe it's a little bit weird, maybe you notice it's a bit awkward, but like it seems like an well enough to do person and well enough to do interview, so they get hired and they work in this low level capacity doing XY thing. But unbeknownst to anyone else, this is a whole espionage situation, and this person is an operative, either mining information, getting money, doing some kind of scheme, high scam, what have you. I've also heard the situation where I mentioned the journal, where they're doing laptop farms, where you have an American citizen in some place, somewhere, wherever, and they essentially are getting paid, getting some kind of compensation to use their home, their internet connection, and keep these laptops on and running so that they have a point of contact, once again, for these operatives to run these kind of job scams. And essentially they do their fucking thing and they get on, they get out, or maybe it gets busted, like in the situation they mentioned. I wish I had the details. They escaped me of the person. It was like a TikTok. It was crazy. She TikTok this shit. It's like, girl, these are crimes. Like, they found you off the TikTok. At least a bit of, like, that was incriminating. Don't do that. Don't Instagram your crimes. Don't TikTok your crimes. Don't podcast your crimes. Don't do it. But that leads us back to the story at hand, where you have an infiltration, and this is not just happened to like small business people or startup people, whatever. Like, this has happened to major companies. They get duped the same way that Williams has gotten duped. And I mean, really the only way that you can protect against this shit is having really extensive, really thorough background checks. But it's hard. You know what I mean? You maybe do a surface normal level 1, and like you said, the guy seems on the level enough. Okay. And then they get hired. Let's see here. I kind of just want to yada a little bit here. Essentially, one of the guys gets on, he gets hired, and he works well. This is where the super duper talented kind of thing comes into play. He then gets promoted and then gets to hire more people. Everyone seems good. Everything's on the level. But meanwhile, the whole time, they are installing malicious malware that is now farming the company. It's farming Starter Labs. And they milk him for $1 million off his own goddamn blockchain. Just milk him out. And, I mean, they're in the wind. Let's see. The investigation into North Korean criminal activity has so far resulted in an arrest of two indictments, searches of 29 laptop farms, which I mentioned earlier, across 16 states, and the seizure of 29 financial accounts used to launder illicit funds and 21 fraudulent websites, according to the DOJ. Now, granted, the 4 people I mentioned, the North Koreans, they are indicted, but they are at large. They're not going to be found. Like, I think they were traced as close to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, but, I mean, there's no jurisdiction for them to get scooped up, by America, to my knowledge, and I'm sure they would be in the wind if that was a fucking issue. So, yeah, it's kind of good luck on that. Sadly for Williams, he's in a lurch here, which really sucks because, I mean, just it's the nature of crypto. It is really hard to get it back. It's not impossible, but it requires so much resources to, track down all of it and get it all. Like, you can, like, usually at best you can find out where it all ends up. You can trace it to that level, but then getting it is the ultimate kind of thing, right? Because it's in a locked wallet, that you have no access to, even if you're like the government, right? So it's a whole fucking thing. So yeah, that's what we're closing out on. It's a bit of a sad tale there, but I love a good heist. I love a good scam, and god damn if North Korea does not oblige me. Anyway, that is all I have though for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me, O Podcast, on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's free action. Helps out a lot. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Whatever platform you'd like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Nice comments are always helpful. All the stars. Sharing is caring. Really appreciated. And yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.